Hey there, fellows. Alright, so we've moved into a new facility, it's all good. And today we'll be experimenting with this automobile. This is my very own winter drift missile, which I really love, it's great. Well, it used to be. Anyway, we've gotten requests to try pouring random fluids into the cooling system, such as diesel fuel, kerosene, brake fluid, Dexron, motor oil, and oh, so many other things. Right now we're at the point where we can try some of that out, and not just try it, but also attain some positive benefits in the process. I've actually heard from a few people that if you were to pour diesel fuel or kerosene into the cooling system, once the engine warms up, well, it'd evaporate and lead to the whole thing exploding. I think we need to give it a try. So with the drifting season coming to a close, during the penultimate race, it so happened that we blew a head gasket, and the cooling system got contaminated with so much oil that it is pretty bad. As for why so much of it made it through, well, certain cars come equipped with heat exchangers, right? That cool the motor oil with help from the engine coolant. Well, they are very much prone to that type of thing. Sometimes it's the gasket, while on other occasions the radiator is just so old that it's corroded, resulting in an engine full of emulsion. Because as we all know, when oil gets into the coolant, it turns into this awful, disgusting crud that is very hard to expel from the engine. That's pretty much what happened in our case. Right here I've got the cooling hose that used to be fitted to this car, and you can clearly see what's in it. Now I'm gonna stick my finger into the cooling passageway on the engine itself. You see that? The entire engine is full of this crap. And so we're gonna try filling the system with various liquids, checking to see whether the engine gets hot, and we're gonna be flushing the engine while we're at it. Here's what we'll be using for the purpose. I've got some diesel fuel, a bit of kerosene, and just for laughs, I've also decided to buy this bug cleaning solution. I mean, after all, this is grease, right? Bugs are also greasy, so this has to do something. Right, so in this episode, we'll see if any of this helps. So yeah, let's try flushing the engine with kerosene, bug cleaner, and diesel fuel. Wait, have you seen our new Freddy-style t-shirt? If not, hit the link in the description. If you're still here, you should know that aside from a new t-shirt, we offer a lot of other different merch, bearing the Garage 54 logo. Past payment issues have been solved, and now you can send payment for your order even via PayPal. So if you'd like to treat yourself, a friend, or a relative to some awesome Garage 54 merch, hit the link in the description to head on over to our shop. And don't forget to use the promo code for a solid discount. Now back to the video. Now a lot of stuff in here had to be dismantled, me having removed the gasket and taken the head in for resurfacing with it being a bit warped. All of that is now fine, it's back together. Now the biggest bummer is that the head is nice and clean right now, but you can only imagine what's happening inside the block, radiator, heater core. As soon as I finish assembly, I gotta set up some kind of quick drain system to effectively flush all of the components we intend to clean. After that, I put the radiator back on. Then we hook everything up and try starting the engine. Okay, so we assemble everything, fill up the system, and fire up the motor. Filling the radiator with diesel fuel, what will happen? Originally uploaded in September of 2019, translation and voiceover by BMI Russian. Here's what I'd like to try experimenting with. Check this out. Let me just get a dab of that emulsion from inside the engine, place it into a container. Now the main problem with washing out this sort of emulsion from the radiator block and so on is that, well, under high pressure and temperature, oil, when mixed with coolant, turns into emulsion, right? And the problem with emulsion is that it is, well, oil mixed with water, which you can't flush out using water, with oil being water resistant. As for using gasoline, kerosene, diesel fuel, or some sort of solvent for the purpose, we're gonna try, but I don't think it'll be easy given we are dealing with water. Basically, emulsion being water with oil, isn't water soluble because of the oil, while the water prevents gasoline, diesel fuel, solvent, or kerosene from diluting it. I'm now about to show you how all of that works using these containers. I have plenty of this emulsion to go around. It's in the radiator, the hoses, it is literally everywhere. Now I'm looking to flush the engine and, of course, see if it'll go kablamo with the diesel fuel. What do you guys think, by the way? So much oil has found its way inside. That is a lot of oil. Okay guys, so we have 5 containers with emulsion and 5 substances we'll be trying to dissolve it with. Let's start with the degreaser, shall we? I'm gonna fill up all 5 of them, and we'll see what happens. Well, there you have it. The emulsion is still in chunks in the degreaser. Nothing's really happening to it. The reason being the water is preventing it from dissolving. But then again, you know what? Something actually does seem to be happening. I mean, for example, if we were to pour it into pure motor oil, then it'd dissolve it in no time. Not quite the case here, though. Some 646 grade solvent. Nothing happening whatsoever. It is still very much transparent. It's not even slightly dissolving the emulsion. What about the gasoline? Look at that, it's already a bit murky. But overall, not much of a difference compared to the degreaser. Well, it is murky, so it has to have dissolved something. Alright, now the kerosene. It is oilier, which tells me that it might be able to do something. There is a chance that it might start dissolving it. Let's see. The kerosene has also gotten slightly murkier. Still, the results are not all that great. Okay, now let's try this solution, just for the hell of it. Yeah, by the way, in my experience, dishwashing liquids such as Fairy are quite good at... what's the right word? Dissolving oil? My neighbor has actually tried using Fairy laundry detergent, and after seeing where that went, I just gotta say, do not use Fairy to clean your engine, because flushing out the leftover foam is gonna be quite a nightmare. Anyway, now let's try the bug cleaner. It is supposed to be a cleaning product, right? Well, surprise me. I guess not. Doesn't want to surprise me. Okay, so the bug cleaner is useless. The solvent is totally useless. There is a bit of residue in the degreaser, but check that out. It is doing something. This right here is the gasoline. And look at how good a job it's doing. Though it is still taking a while. And the chunks are still very much present. What about the kerosene? Well, they are quite similar in their properties, except for the gasoline being somewhat less oily. And that, my friends, is why washing emulsion from the cooling system is such a serious issue. We're gonna try the following method. Now, we keep hearing that diesel fuel is gonna work wonders, but pouring diesel into a running engine, I mean, I'm sure you can imagine that first of all it is highly flammable, and who even knows what might happen. Whatever, let's pour it in, try it out, and see what happens. Okay, well, the whole thing is ready, we're looking good. Now, honestly, we've done the factory thermostat a bit wrong. We've decided to cut and drill out all of the baffles and so on, effectively rendering it a T-piece for the liquid to circulate around the engine block, the primary radiator, and the heater core. I do think purging the heater core is going to be an issue, though. Bypass it. It also has to be cleaned, man. Oh, you want to replace it? That's a brilliant idea. Nah, dude, I don't know how, but we have to clean out the entire system. Time to pour in the liquid. Okay guys, we've started the engine and we're pouring in some liquid. We're about to see the whole thing either explode or go up in flames or become clean. The latter would be nice. Diesel fuel. 20 minutes later. The filler neck has definitely gotten cleaner. When you look in from up here, the radiator looks like it's filled with milk. It appears that the emulsion, that a lot of it has been dissolved. So when the diesel fuel gets up to engine operating temp, it turns out it's got a lower boiling point than water. I'm not sure why that's the case, but here we are. Why don't we drain the system and see what's up? Oh no, look, some of it is actually water. That is a nasty smell. The hot diesel fuel... But then nothing exploded, it didn't catch fire, everything is just fine. Now let's try regular water. See if it cleans anything out. I really doubt it would. But in any case, something is bound to come out. Perhaps some of the emulsion that hasn't been dissolved. With how much was in there and how much has come out, I'm not quite sure whether that was all of it. Okay, that's water coming out. Time to close the valve. And so now, after we've safely flushed the system with diesel fuel, we're pouring in water to then start the engine, warm it up once again. Let's go. It seems to have come to the surface, with it being oily, lighter, and having less density. See, there's the water. There it is right there. Something even seems to be happening. That's nice. Are we actually gonna make it clean? Did you flip the heater on? Was it warm when you tried it? Because the whole thing was so horribly clogged up that... It was 27 degrees Celsius outside. As soon as the engine started to get warm, I tried the air coming from the heater and it was ambient temperature. I went in to feel the hoses, they were boiling hot. But as for the heater core, there obviously was circulation with both of the hoses being hot. But the tubes inside the heat exchanger were clogged with grease so badly that there was barely any heat exchange happening in there, if any at all. Now Ivan tells me the air is at least starting to get warm, which is quite nice. Let's see where this goes. So after running on water for another 15 minutes, let's drain it and have a look. It's definitely not clean. It seems to have mixed with the emulsion, even though you'd think it shouldn't. Oh my goodness. Did it really do that good of a job? And nothing caught fire. That is very nice indeed. There it goes. How many more times do we have to do this before it's all clean? Looks good, eh? Close the valve. And now in order to give the system another clean, with how much grease is still in there, we'll be pouring in... We've decided to try the kerosene now. Okay, we've now flushed the system with kerosene. We seem to have avoided burning up the place. We're good, though the scariest part still awaits. We still have to check and see what's with the radiator. Yeah, that appears to be the reason. The reason for... What about on this end? Oh, there we go. Still coming out. Okay, taking things up a notch and pouring in some gasoline. Now, gasoline is not diesel fuel in that it's more easily combustible. Plus, we might see how hot it has to get before it starts boiling, right? In any case, we need to be very, very careful. We flushed the system with gasoline. Now let's drain it. Still contaminated, eh? Yeah, look at that, pretty nasty. It's still not quite clean, is it? Should we drain the radiator as well? Yeah, look at that. It's cold? What's up, Ivan? Well, this looks nice and clean to me. Want to remove the thermostat and have a look inside? What's up? Wow, it looks pretty clean, actually. I mean, there is still some gasoline left in there. I guess we need to drain and purge the whole thing? Well, the system is clean at the end of the day. Nothing caught fire or exploded, though it does begin to boil a bit prematurely. As for the emulsion inside, the hoses, the engine block, and so on, I'm pretty sure we've cleaned all of it out at this point. But what about the heater core and the radiator? That's an unknown. The tubes in those are quite thin, and so there has to be enough circulation to push it all out. We still have no idea whether they're clean inside. And we still have this liquid right here. The bug cleaner. I mean, it has to clean off grease, right? Flies are greasy, so are butterflies. And whoever's had them splattered on the radiator grill or the windshield knows that cleaning them off is a bit of a nightmare. Okay, let's get the hoses back on, pour this in, and see. The car has gotten nice and warm, it's all good. Let's see what comes out of the system now. Yeah, it's still coming out apparently, Ivan. Meaning the system is being washed. There is less and less of it coming out though. I think it might have even done something. Oh man, that is an awful smell. Now we drain the radiator. Oh my goodness. It seems to be cleaning the radiator. The bug cleaner isn't useless after all. You want to try it again? Yeah, sure. Eat and whatever we have left. And top it off with water. So that is the plan then. Operation Bug Cleaner. Okay, so we flushed the system a second time after experimenting with all of that. As for the leftover bug cleaner we had in there. Oh, that is pretty odd. Anyway, we poured it in, it isn't bubbling or anything like that. And it's doing something. I can't say we're looking at an ideal picture, but things are way better than they used to be. There is not nearly as much of this emulsion swimming around on the surface. Okay, fellas, we've experimented with the diesel fuel, the kerosene, the gasoline. The bug cleaner is basically water. The point is, nothing horrible happened, as long as you're not playing around with matches anywhere nearby. I actually had no idea these fluids had a lower boiling point than water, because with water the temperature gets up to 90 degrees and you're all good. The needle on the gauge is sitting there dead on center. Nothing is bubbling or boiling. As for the other liquids, no matter if it's kerosene, diesel fuel, or gasoline, the needle wouldn't even get to operating temp before they would begin to boil. If you know why that's the case, let us know in the comments, though I'm pretty sure I can simply Google it. They probably just have a lower boiling point. Now let's have a look at how clean the cooling system components are. These hoses that used to be totally clogged up with emulsion are now nice and clean. So is the thermostat. The hoses are all clean, fantastic. But since everybody recommends using diesel fuel for this sort of thing, well, we tried all over again and saw that it does indeed do the trick. The main problem being that diesel fuel is all waxy and oily, meaning you have to clean it out as well. I'd imagine you could use ordinary water, like if you have decent enough flow from your tap. We went a different route. We poured in kerosene, after that we added some gasoline, which isn't all that oily and was quite effective at cleaning the system. Then we decided to have a bit of fun and pour in some bug cleaner, of course. What's curious is that it actually flushed some of the filth out. After using it, we didn't see any of that oily residue around the radiator filler neck. So it does work to some extent, though I wouldn't recommend you try using it. We were just having a bit of fun after all. So yeah, that's the experiment. We saw what would happen if you were to put flammable fluids in there, and we tried a few cooling system cleaning methods. We were able to flush everything except for the radiator. If you were to look closely, you'd see there's still emulsion in there. Because though the tubes seem to be quite thick, I'm sure that over 50% of them are clogged with that emulsion. Cleaning the radiator separately, that's going to be an entirely different story altogether. Overall, the experiment has been a tremendous success. We've saved the engine block, cleaned out the hoses, and we now know how these flammable fluids behave themselves. The kerosene, gasoline, and diesel fuel. So it's all good. We are going to try and find a way to save the heater core and the radiator, but I mean, we can always buy new ones. What really matters is we flushed the block, which is quite nice in itself. And that's all I got for you. Watch us, subscribe, send in your suggestions, comment, give us a thumbs up. All right, catch you later.